All right, friends. Let's do a little bit of a post op. And now what is going to happen now that the whole Iran v Israel thing is escalating? And I got good news and I got bad news, and I'll tell you where I'm thinking about things are going. I will cover more of this in the crisis report, which I'll be putting out here in about 20 minutes. I'm going to talk up until then, and then go manage the live stream. Um, Thank you for being here. Do all those things. Hit the like button and stuff. If you're unfamiliar with the crisis report, it's my other channel. It's my smaller channel. It's just straight news. You probably never heard of it. You'll never get a notification for it, and it's basically as hindered of a channel as it can be. So it is what it is. But over there, I just do the news, and it's comprehensive. I call it the most comprehensive news on YouTube, and I would put it up literally against anyone out there. So um, hit that channel if you haven't before, and consider becoming a member here or one of the subscription services. Keep them at about $2-3 depending. Less than a coffee now. I'm not going to raise the prices or anything. It's super expensive out there, and no, I won't go into a diatribe about that. But I want to talk about kind of what has happened and where things could potentially go, and why there's concern, and there's also um, a little bit of relief right now because some things happen in a certain way, which means that they are at least slow rolling this uptick, intensification, if you will, this intensification of hostilities between these two belligerents, which would be Iran and Israel. So, Israel struck the diplomatic house in Damascus, and then last night, if you're here, join me. I basically said this is about to happen, and lo and behold, it did. I'm not clairvoyant by any means. I just watch and read a lot of things and intel, and you do that, you can put together a pretty concise picture of where things are going and what will more than likely happen, which is probably why on the crisis report on January 25th, I said there's going to be a war between uh, Ukraine and Russia. And by the 24th of February, that was happening. Why? Because you don't put billions and billions of dollars onto the person's border just to leave it to sit there. You're going to eventually use it. So that was the big tell there. The big tell here of what's going on is some intelligence that came out tonight. So the problem is this with all of these groups, these countries, is the problem is that they have to respond. There's got to be a response. There's got to be we're not going to take that crap from you, and we're going to hit you back. Imagine the schoolyard, two bullies are going at each other. They're pretty equal. They got friends behind them. One guy, is messing with the other one. He goes and takes a dump in a bag and puts it in his locker, and the other guy goes out and slashes his tires, and there's an escalation that goes up until finally they square off after school. And you know there's a lot of pressure there, and that's kind of where we're at right now. There's a lot of pressure on both these countries. There's pressure in Israel because a lot of the people there, a lot of the citizens, are very unhappy with what happened on October 7th. And they think that if there isn't some form of an official response, that anybody can go in and take their citizens and do terrible things to them. There is a pressure in Iran because they have all these proxies. You've got your proxies in Syria and Iraq. You've got Hezbollah. You've got Hamas. You've got multiple other groups that are aligned with the Iranian, mentality, and country. Just it is what it is. And all of those people have been, are militants and they're belligerents in their own little areas of the world, doing what they think is freedom fighting. And so there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on those people, or from those people, on Iran. And so you've got religious leaders, both sides. Israel, they've got this added thing where, Jewish prophecy is what's, think of the red heifers and stuff like that. So a lot of pressure there on many sides, which means, in my mind, I think there's going to be a bit of an escalation. Now, you look back, hindsight's 2020. Israel has gone into Gaza and done things. Everybody's version of that is different. I'm not going to put a label on it, but there's a lot of international pressure. There's a lot of pressure from within domestically. The international pressure has really intensified over the last month or so, couple months. The pictures are really tough to see. And, also on both sides, you have this whole thing called the fog of war. You've got narratives and, shaping the narrative and what you want people to think and believe and how they want to view things. And, both sides, all sides do it. Everybody does it. You want things to work in your favor. So you're going to frame things in a certain way to make you seem as the side that deserves all the sympathy and support. So Israel has got to respond because Iran had to respond, because all of this started on October 7th with that incident. Whoever did it. Now, when I said this the other day, I find it interesting that it has gone from being a Hamas versus Israel thing to now really more an Israel versus Iran, Israel versus Hezbollah, Israel versus Yemen and the Houthis. Okay. There's a lot of problems with that. There's a lot of out groups. They're surrounded, for lack of a better way of putting it. A lot of people in the region don't want them there. They don't like them. It's historic in that. So a lot of pressure to retaliate and to defend and to stand up for yourself and to cobble together coalitions that will, join you. United States, you've got an election on the line. America, Joe's got to pander to the political base, and a lot of them are anti-Israeli. A lot of them are Muslim, and they don't want help for Israel. They see Israel as a country that's done a lot of nasty things. And so that whole thing is it's just a big conundrum. And now everybody's pushing them all to fight. Okay. And I don't see a de-escalation. I definitely don't see a diplomatic way out of this. At this point, all we can really do is hope is that it takes time. War takes time. War is not nice and neat and tidy and quick with a 90-minute framework to get the plot done. It takes a lot of logistics. It takes a lot of talking in the background and again, cobbling together whatever it may be. By the way, this afternoon I saw the movie Civil War with my wife, and I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow in the morning as I drive. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts here on the movie or anything else. It's a good movie. It is. It's worth the watch. But of course, there's a narrative. There's a underlying psychological press that they want to put on you to make things form. And I personally, a lot of other people have come out and said, "Oh, it's non-political." Horse crap. There's a political to the undertone. You just have to recognize it and read the little signs. And I'm going to go through all of them as I drive and talk tomorrow, but we'll leave that for that. Here you've got a response that is going to come by the Israelis. They just had their cabinet meeting, and again, all of this, the intel and everything, is going to be laid out on prep or crisis report in about 10 minutes. They've got all of this pressure now, and what kind of response it's going to be is going to dictate where things go from here. And of course, both of them want to strike blows that are going to be hurt or hurtful, and they're going to do nasty things to each side. But at the same time, they don't want to do it where the other side throws down. So they're kind of walking this tightrope. The Iranian response last night was telegraphed. For those that don't know it, Wall Street Journal covered it. Basically, there were proxies. Just like you have war proxies, you've got diplomatic proxies. You talk one country to one, and then that country goes to the other, and then so you're kind of talking diplomatically, but you're not seen as talking, right? So America and Iran were kind of talking in the background via one of the ministers in Turkey, and he basically said that Iran is going to respond at this time with about this kind of a weighted response, and it'll be controlled. It'll be pretty large, but at the same time, it's telegraphed. And if you do certain things, the damage will be mitigated and limited. And of course, that's what happened. You hear that your air base is going to get hit. You're going to move your planes. America and all of that has basically been trying to say, hey, everybody stay within reason. Iran, stay within reason. Israel, stay within reason. And so now, with all of this, there's going to need to be another response. They say it's going to take about 48 hours to do. This is about 12 hours ago. So you're looking at about 36 hours. Probably tomorrow night about this time, you're going to start to hear about whatever it is, maybe the next day, but in the next 36 to 72 hours, roughly. And the Israelis are not like the Iranians. The Iranians are talking to all kinds of Israelis are a little bit more maverick in what they do. They don't really care what other people think. They're going to do what they do. And the difference now between other things, I was thinking about that. I was like, what is the difference between past conflicts, all the way back to 73, 2006. We've got history. It's just dotted with all these points of conflict between these belligerents. What now I think is going to happen is that Joe went and talked to Israel and said, look, you can't strike directly into Iran, which of course, Israel said, well, they just struck directly at us. However, they did only really go for military bases, and they telegraphed it so we could respond, and what they're sending over, first of all, I don't think people understand how long it takes things. Ballistic missiles, ICBMs, take about 12 to 20 minutes. Cruise missiles included. Other rockets, if you will, they take about 4 hours to get there. They have to go over airspace. They have to fly. They're going fast, but again, it takes time. The UAVs take about 7 to 9 hours. They're usually one way. They're programmed and they go, and whether they're being driven by GPS coordinates on an automated system or someone's in the background with a joystick, just depends. Those take time, and the most time gives them, Israel, America, United Kingdom. We were the three that were shooting this stuff down. Jordan too, over Iraqi, Syrian airspace. I mean, that these things are coming, because just a little bit of math and computerization and some analysis, and you can pretty much coordinate where these things are and take them out, which they did. Also, supposedly 50% of the rockets that were sent didn't even function. They didn't even make it to their destination. So, which tells me, because that is a high number, that they were purposefully duds. So they could say, hey, we shot 200 missiles, but they knew that 80 out of 200 were not going to go anywhere. And then from there, you can do the math. So, Israel is going to respond in the next 36 to 72 hours. And I think it's going to be twofold. So there's going to be the one that'll keep things relatively calm and not go into a full-blown, well, there's actually three. The third one is they just go freaking nuts, and they just go and start doing really heavy-handed strikes. They hit like a nuclear development center where they're developing the nuclear weapons in Iran. One of those underground things. Aquila, who is a guy I get a lot of intelligence from, American, straight down the middle, but really knows his stuff. He said bunker busters on something like that. That would be a pretty nasty response. It could really have an uptick, an escalation. The one that I think is that would be on par and really do some damage, but at the same time, not make it so Iran goes even more hard, is some form of a cyber attack that really cripples most of Iran. Something that just goes in and gives them about 36 to 72 hours of disruption. They've done this before. It's not terrible. If there's one thing the Israelis are good at, it's cyber warfare. And so they go in and they shut down the power in Tehran for 72 hours or 48 hours, and they just make life a miserable double hockey sticks for all the citizens there. And they say in notes saying we can do this to other things, and this is just a tester, and yada yada. And just like your response was a bit of a trial balloon or warning shot, this is a warning shot as well. Okay. I don't know if I can give a percentage of what I think that will look like or be. I don't know. I hope it's something like that. I hope it's not. Another one is that they would go in and try to take out more political people. And I think that ties into what Aquila thinks will happen, and it makes sense on the rhetoric that has come out. Again, words have meaning, and these diplomatic people say things and they craft it in such a way that they can say what they need to get said, done, but at the same time, if they go and it angers a lot of people, they can kind of CYA, okay? So, of course, Joe said you can't do anything towards Iran. You have to keep it within scope. And Israel said, okay, from what I understand, the Netanyahu government now, whether they were, just, throwing them off or, shirking them off, whatever the word is, I can't think of it right now. Just kind of putting them off, saying, yeah, whatever. I don't know. But a Rafah offensive in looking for this Sinwar guy is hitting all the marks. It would really aggravate the international community. However, it would not be a direct attack on Iran. It would give them the reason to go in and do this, which they've been looking for, as you have been following the crisis report or any of the reports by any of the groups out there doing good work. A lot of this is they don't want that to happen. A lot of people are saying don't do it. These are 1.5, 1.7, whatever it is, million people that have been crushed into this little corner of the world, and it is a humanitarian nightmare. And so America, all kinds, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Israel. But Israel has wanted to go do this because they want to, cut the head off of the snake. And they know that this is the last place that they're going to probably be. So going into Rafah and doing a full offensive and going in there and just, putting a gun into every nook and cranny of the place and looking for this guy and finally getting him, it would hit all the marks. It would be the kind of response that would be aggravating to Iran. It would stay within scope. It wouldn't be against Iran directly. It would achieve a lot of the policy of what Israel is trying to accomplish in this operation and what they're doing. It would appease a lot of people at home, especially now that it's basically a foregone conclusion that the hostages, there's none left. It would hit all the marks. So I personally think of everything that could happen, and I could be wrong. I'm just spitwadding here, but from what I've read and what I've seen, this makes the most sense. Gail Strong, thank you very, very much. This makes the most sense. It makes the most sense that a Rafah offensive would happen, and they would just get up. And also, to embolden that, they just called up 2 more reserve units. They're not really doing anything that looks like moves domestically and all that, or moving stuff around for, like I said, war is logistics. You can tell if a country is about to go do something. What are they doing? Is there a lot of activity on the air bases? Is there a lot of activity, wherever? You can get an analysis of what's going on. So I think, and it could be twofold. It could be cyber and this. I personally think that Rafah offensive, or Rafah mobilization, whatever, and it'll be, Joe will beg and all that kind of stuff. But I think that is the most likely and probable, and would really hit everything. So, yeah, I know. Thank you, Watchman. I wanted to link this up. I'm sure it's doing the countdown right now. So I'm gonna turn this off and let you guys go over there and watch the crisis report and get the intel itself. But after watching that and or reading all the analysis and everything, and then reading what I've seen, and then putting it together, I mean, I think the most logical response is going to be something in Rafah, something with cyber attack, combo thereof. I don't think they will go in and hit Iran directly yet. However, should this go up one more notch, if this happens and then Iran responds and it's this tit for tat thing that keeps going, at that point, the only thing that's left is to start hitting Tehran and hitting Tel Aviv and going after it and doing a real response, a gloves off response. So that's it. There it is. Go on over and check out the crisis report, youtube.com/@crisisreport. It'll give you the rest of this and everything that's going on, and a lot of things that are scary. There's actually Gallant says that nuclear weapons are possibly going to start to come into play. We'll get there. Gail Strong, thank you for your support. Thank you for all your support. God bless. We'll see you on the crisis report.